Hey,
Hi,
everybody.
everyone.
Welcome to the Trump Tyranny Tracker. We're back after a few days enjoying the July 4th weekend and catching up on work during that weekend. Look at all these great people joining us. Welcome to the show. It's so good to be back with you. Olga Lautman is here, the creator and author of the Trump Tyranny Tracker, a Substack you really must subscribe to if you haven't yet. Hi, Olga. How are you?
I am good. I completely forgot it was July 4th. Oh my
A
God.
lot of
You're
people
like
forgot it
July
was July
4th
4th.
weekend. I'm like, we haven't done this since Thursday. That's right.
Yes, it's day 160. Wait, I have this
Nine.
here. 9 on the track. Wow, that's incredible. So we haven't been around since the 162 or something like that. So we've got lots to catch up on today, and there's a lot of news. So we'll just let everyone gather a little bit. But while we do that, we'll remind everyone that today at 8 p.m., we're going to do another session in our Authoritarianism 101, where we're going to be discussing how the movements that do authoritarianism capture institutions.
Yep. So today's theme will be to capture, purge, and weaponize institutions and basically show examples how it happened to Russia and how Trump is using the same tactics here. So that'll be 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Google Meet.
And people can still register until 7 p.m., but no later than 7. And you can do that by finding the registration link either on the Trump Tyranny Tracker or Unmasking Russia or on narrative.org. That's NARATIV.org. And today's going to be an interesting session. What I love most about these is getting to hear from people in their different parts of their world and sharing thoughts from far away as Finland to Texas. And it's great to have those comments, and it's great to hear from everybody about what's worrying them about the current state of affairs. So we'll see you tonight at 8 p.m. for paid subscribers to any of our Substacks. So let's move into the Trump tyranny track. And we'll begin today with a disturbing military display in LA. Nearly 90 National Guard troops and federal immigration agents descended on MacArthur Park yesterday in what can only be described as a show of force. Armed soldiers, Humvees, and tactical vehicles swarmed this landmark in LA's immigrant community for an hour-long operation that resulted in 0 arrests. Unbelievable. Officials provided minimum details, leaving the community to witness what appears to be pure intimidation, nothing but terrorizing the vulnerable populations. That's all that they seem to be doing through law enforcement.
Yeah, I saw the display yesterday, and two thoughts. One, the main video going around looked like it was being done taped professionally. So I'm
Hmm.
thinking that this is going to be used by DHS, as official propaganda. But honestly, I mean, this is outrageous, and every single American should be outraged. This is a park. Who hangs out in a park? Families, kids. And the fact that you have something like a military unit arriving to a park and it looks like an operation somewhere in Iraq, happening in a US park is outrageous. And the bigger point is, Trump continues conditioning Americans to get used to the fact of military force. And this is what dictators do. They want to condition you to see, these military people, and this is how it turns into a police state. And now they're talking about expanding, their military and ICE presence to New York. And this is going to go across the country. But I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
I saw this and I'm like, honestly, what the fuck? I'm sorry for cursing, but this is my response. Like,
No, that's
this is
incredibly accurate.
a park on a
Yeah.
beautiful sunny day. And you have, like I said, we're not in Iraq, we're not in Afghanistan, a park in
And then shooting some
LA.
promotional video, probably for some DHS propaganda thing. The thing that happened over the weekend was, of course, the passage of the big beautiful bill, or whatever you want to call it, and inside there is this $170 billion provision for a 17,000 force, ICE, basically a supersized ICE that is going to be operating from coast to coast. I mean, it really is unbelievable the amount of money they're about to spend on building these concentration camps, on allowing these masked people to go around for incentive bonuses and all these other things that they're getting, and capturing innocent people on the streets and throwing them into concentration camps. This is the system they're building.
Yeah, and you mentioned the masked thugs. And frankly, we really need to organize and have a protest specifically for this nationwide because not only is it undemocratic and dangerous to have masked thugs running around the streets, but there has also been, which I documented in the tracker last week, an increase and people now dressed as ICE, like with the ICE vest, or federal agent vest, which you could buy on a line. You could buy,
Yeah, on Amazon.
exactly. You could buy the patches. You could buy the badges. And then there was a case of sexual assault. There are cases of robberies. So I mean, at this point, not only is it just undemocratic and frankly insane that you have mass thugs running around the streets, but now you have people, criminals, who are like, oh, what a good idea. We could go and start grabbing people off the street or knocking on people's houses, going in and, robbing their house as we pose. And we saw what happened recently, with that guy who dressed up as a police officer and assassinated the lawmaker and her husband. So, I mean, this is a very dangerous situation. We really need to nip this in the bud. I think this is something we can do if we you know jointly do protest on this and demand that these people don't wear masks and that they actually have an insignia with a name, so if
They should
something
be identifying
happens.
themselves and they should have cameras on their bodies recording everything that they're doing. That's what should be happening. Of course, they're not,
Yeah.
but that's exactly, they're scared of being doxxed, I guess. But, I don't, they're humiliating
So
people. Why can't they be exposed for who they are? I mean, they're arresting people who are innocent citizens off the streets and immigrants, and then they're throwing them into concentration camps. Those people are visible to the cameras and to the press. Why can't the police as well? Why can't the ICE be visible? It makes complete sense that everyone is known who's involved in that event, and they should be recording it and identifying themselves. It's outrageous.
you have FBI agents who do, and SWAT teams who do, how you call it, operations against cartels and drug traffickers and, whatnot. You have very serious operations happening here. They are acting as if they're CIA, operating on foreign soil where they need to have cover. Here, they don't need to have cover. This is American soil and they need to present who they are and be accountable. And that's it. So I don't want to hear like, these lawmakers, they're going to be doxxed. If you're afraid of being doxxed, don't go into law
Yeah,
enforcement.
don't be in the
I
public
mean,
service. I
I
mean,
mean,
really. Moving to international implications of Trump's deportation agenda, a Salvadoran memo to the United Nations reveals that El Salvador is holding nearly 140 disappeared Venezuelans solely at the request of the United States, which is directly contradicting Trump administration claims that El Salvador has custody of all these individuals. These men were disappeared under the Alien Enemies Act without due process, exposing how the administration is outsourcing detention to avoid domestic legal oversight.
and there we go. And here you have it. It took a memo to the UN for the truth to come out that we all knew that the US is paying El Salvador to send people to gulags to disappear them, that we have full custody of these people. And basically, every argument this regime has made saying that we cannot obtain this or bring this one back because we're not in custody of this. Well, El Salvador just provided information to the UN that the US is, in fact, of custody and
Oh,
that
that is very
they are.
important. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that what they were trying to do in the story. That's really interesting. So the people that are being sent to these gulags, to what's it called, CCOT, they are under the authority of the United States still?
Yes, because we are paying for them to basically, we're paying a fee for the El Salvadoran government to host them. So this
That
is
sounds like
what
a
is
big
happening.
lawsuit. Sounds
And then
down the
here we
line.
have
Oh,
for 5 months, we have been hearing how the US government through courts say that, oh, we cannot bring this back because El Salvador has to agree to it, that it's in their custody. And now when El Salvador had to submit a memo to the UN, well, long and behold, we are the ones who have custody, as we all assumed.
So we're imprisoning and kidnapping people and not revealing that we have any authority or knowledge about where they are. Wow, this is going to be very expensive when this unravels at the end of the day, and all these people sue the United States for kidnapping them and placing them in gulags in other countries. It's really something else.
And just to add one thing, I suggest everyone to go read this New York Times investigation that it's come out multiple times about how Trump is working with Bukele to arrange this prison arrangement, and at the same time, our Department of Justice was investigating Bukele for having high level officials with ties to MS-13 who were working together. And now, as a result, this investigation found, Trump, who's so gung ho about going after MS-13, he is protecting now the people tied to the El Salvadoran government um, in order for this, exchange of disappearing people and storing there. So now, for the most part, the Department of Justice had dropped the investigations. I'm talking about a decade-long investigation of Bukele and the people, his inner circle, and how they provided cover for MS-13 and work closely with MS-13. So now
Wow,
these
that's a huge
people.
story. It's not surprising. Yeah. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised one bit that these guys are in bed with MS-13. It's like just so the same
And
template
Trump
and
is
time.
covering up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's involved with everybody. That's nefarious, it seems. Um, let's move on to the IRS announcing in a court filing that churches can now endorse political candidates to their congregations without violating the Johnson Amendment. Now, that amendment traditionally bans campaigning by tax exempt nonprofits, but the settlement with two Texas churches and religious broadcasters carves out a narrow exemption specifically for houses of worship, essentially allowing religious institutions to become campaign arms while maintaining their tax exempt status. That is a massive story, considering the enormous amount of religious support that Donald Trump has.
Yeah, and basically now you're going to have every evangelical church and all the Christian nationalists using their churches too for campaign events to
Mm.
host politicians. I mean, were very specific rules that if you are a nonprofit, that you cannot participate in campaigning. Can you imagine now the implications of all the churches that do support this far right extremist movement, the MAGA movement, them now basically indoctrinating their how you call it, parishioners, and at the same time bringing politicians to the church. I mean, this is really uh,
It's almost like an
gross.
illegal campaign donation because these churches are basically using their church money, their nonprofit money, to support these candidates. And we're supposed to have a constitution that separates the church and state. And here's a ruling saying, go ahead, combine the two, turn these religious institutions into arms of your political campaigns. That's what can you say? What can you say about that? It's just,
It's horrible. All I could just imagine is come this year, you're going to have, as election picks up for midterms, you're going to have all the Republicans like campaigning through churches,
yeah,
collecting
sure.
donations from churches. I mean, they're probably going to have a super PAC, a big church, MAGA super PAC. I mean, the whole thing is outrageous and, another thing that we really need to keep on our radar and push back against.
Yeah, that's a really important one. Um, Finally, Trump's March executive order, currently paused by lawsuits, aims to ban counting mail ballots received after Election Day. So he's falsely claiming that such ballots are illegal. The administration is using delayed counts to stoke fraud narratives, while GOP-led states like Kansas and North Dakota advanced laws to cut grace periods for mail voting. So this is really a challenge to the legitimate voting methods that people have been using, because there's been mail-in ballots used very successfully in many, many districts. But the Trump guys don't like this at all.
No, and this is more to the broader fact that Trump is doing everything to dismantle our election infrastructure in every which way he can. So whether it be mail-in voting, whether same day not same day, early voting he has been going after, and just all the I mean, if you look at his election, executive orders, I mean, there are so many things that are problematic. And at the same time, he also dismantled the cybersecurity infrastructure to monitor elections. So, I mean, he is doing everything to dismantle our election system. And this is just yet another one of these things that he's doing. And it's,
And these voter
yeah,
rolls that he's accessing basically to create the
yes.
citizenship database. I mean, he's going to have a lot of data available to him and to the administration in order to really reduce the number of people who can vote on the day. It's really appalling. There is one final story I almost left out, which is about Matthew Kozma, the
Oh,
Trump's choice to lead the DHS intelligence group, who told Congress that officers may use fake identities to access private communications despite existing legal prohibitions. So Cosmo is downplaying rules restricting intelligence collection to public information, raising alarm bells about systemic surveillance of activists and political opponents. So he's saying anyone could use any fake identity. They're the cops. They can basically pretend to be anyone they want to record your communications. Unbelievable disregard for due process here.
and to the broader thing that we have been harping on for months about the surveillance state and how they're removing all the safeguards, that protect us from this. And here you have a guy who clearly, is telling you on which side he stands that, what laws. I don't care about laws. We will do what we want to do. So,
So this makes, I mean, not that anyone was really under any pretense that communications aren't being monitored, but this just adds to that notion that you can't trust anybody and people could be listening at any points to your conversations, and they don't care about that. The laws are whatever they want them to be.
exactly.
This seems to be
How it
wow.
fits them and how it suits them. And that's why I always say when it comes to dictators, they don't have to write the laws, they just bend the laws. They take the law on the books, bend it to how it suits their agenda, or they disregard other laws. So, I mean,
Yeah.
this is what we're seeing day in, day out for the past, what is it, 6 months now.
Well, it is that 6 month mark when we said it's going to be hard to turn things back, and it is beginning to feel like we're in that zone now where you've got so much in place. So they've built the infrastructure that we're almost stepping into that very, very dark period, and as they're spending $170 billion on this force, whatever it is, a secret service, whatever it is they're developing, that's a lot of money
Secret police.
that's basically going to enter the American economy as a secret police. Like this is basically what we're dealing with. Is a Stasi-like organization. It's unbelievable in the United States.
And they are play so loose. So, even though they're under ice, if they want to intimidate or harass Americans, they can easily say, "Oh, we got a tip," that the this person who they're targeting, like, say me, for instance, is harboring undocumented immigrants.
Yeah.
And that's it. So, I mean, they can use it as means for harassment of regular Americans. And then we'll see, because again, right now, their, main objectives are to go after undocumented immigrants, but with a force like this that is bigger than the FBI and several agencies combined, and with, a president who absolutely is the most lawless, corrupt person we've ever had
Yeah.
sitting in that office, they can easily then change objectives where they can even rename ICE and put it as Homeland, whatever, Security Police. And that's it. And then the objectives will expand. Bottom line is they are laying the groundwork for a police state, which then can be used in any which way that they want.
Yeah, looking at the numbers as I did on narrative.org in a piece I ran the other day, it's 100,000 beds basically they've got available. It's a lot of beds. They're going to attempt to move 1 million people every year or detain or deport 1 million people every year. It's or more. Well, that's the Trump tyranny tracker today. It doesn't get very much more cheerful, I'm afraid, because every day from now on, it just seems to be that things are going to get even more dire. And we look forward to seeing you tonight, Olga, when we're going to do our, is it fifth? Is it our fifth session? I think it's our fifth session.
Sixth.
Sixth session of the Authoritarianism 101. And I'm really looking forward to tonight. I hope everyone can join us because it's going to be a fascinating conversation. And so many people have so many concerns and questions and bring up such good issues that it's just a great conversation. So we'll see everyone tonight at 8. You must register by 7 or Olga gets mad because she's so busy during the show or during the
Oh,
presentation.
every Tuesday I have to go through because people keep registering and I have to go through and sending more like emails and another like for the link.
Well,
So
thank you for all that
please,
work. It's a lot of work you're doing
please,
there. So
please,
thank you.
please. Up
7
to
p.m. cutoff.
7. Yeah, so I could send out a link to everyone at 7:30. I'm sure I'll still be sending out more emails with a link after, but please.
Well, we'll see you tonight. And don't forget, everyone, to subscribe to the Trump Tyranny Tracker.substack.com or unmaskingrussia.substack.com or my Substack, narrative.org, NARATIV.org. I'll be back in about 40 minutes with Dean Blundell
Yeah.
for the 5 stack. See you then, everybody. Have a great day, Olga. See you later.
Bye. See
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.